Hi, today we're going to talk about the view of our follow deleter application. The view is a UI view that's instantiated from the UI view controller. So the view is actually not a zip file in this case. It is a view that we have to use drawRect to draw the contents of the view on. So we're going to draw a circle. And if we look at the application when we run it, we'll take a look at our view and see what's going on. The follow deleter application is here. So now we see here a circular view with, in this case, 5 slices taken out of it. And the view also has a label that's centered at the top on a kind of cyan background. And then each slice is drawn according to the angle of 360 or 2 pi divided by the number of slices. So in this case we have slices equal to 5, and so the view draws that, basically it's drawing a pie chart. So drawRect is actually just drawing this circular pie chart, and it's the view is just allocates space for this UI label up here and sets it up on top. So let's stop the app, and then we'll go back to the analysis of our view. So we import UIKit, of course. We define red, green, and blue as 0, 1, and 2, and these are preprocessor constants that we've defined. Technically they're macros, but we'll just call them constants at this point. We also define an IVAR called colors, and this is a 2-dimensional array, 0 to 9 by 0 to 2. And so what we've done here, or what we're going to do here, is set up an array of color values. We will have 9 elements in our array. This is because the maximum number of slices we can have will be 9, and each slice will have 3 color values, a red, a blue, and a green color value, and we'll set the alpha value always to 1. And we'll see how this is done when we look at our implementation of the file. Now we have 5 properties. Slices will be the number of slices in our pie chart, in our circular view. Radius will be the radius of our circle. Slice angle will have a calculated angle that is basically 360 degrees, or 2 pi radians, divided by the number of slices. Prompt is the label that we're going to stick at the top of our view. And then white slice is going to be a value, initially -1, but if the user has touched a slice in the view, then white slice gets set to a value, and it momentarily will change the color of a particular slice of our pie to white, to red, green, and blue of all 1, and the alpha value of 1. And then when the user takes the finger off that slice, the color value will go back, because drawRect will be called each time each time through the run loop. At the end of the run loop, drawRect is called. So let's look at our implementation. In Init with frame, which of course is the initializer method of a UI view, Init with frame, I should mention that we have synthesized all of our properties, and then we don't synthesize the IVAR colors, the 2-dimensional array of colors, because it's just an IVAR. It is not set up as a property. If you try to set a property, an array, you can have a NS array as a property, but you cannot have a C primitive array set as a property. It won't allow you to do that. You can try that as an experiment, and you will get immediately in the interface, in the Xcode interface, you will get an error that says a property cannot be indexed into. So you can try that on your own. So this IVAR colors, the 2-dimensional array, is implicitly known to our implementation. So we don't synthesize that because it's not a property. So in Init with frame, of course, first we call super's Init with frame method. And then we make sure that this view, this UI view object exists. And if it does, we set self slices, or slices, number of slices, to 5 in this case. We set the radius to 300. We could set this into a calculated thing but here we're just setting it to a value of 300. We set the white slice value to -1. And we set the slice angle equal to the number of radians divided of 360 degrees divided by the number of slices. So rads from degrees is just a simple method that calculates radians given a number of degrees. And we take the number of degrees and multiply it by pi over 180, and that gives us radians. And so we need all of our values to be in radians. So we set the slice angle to the radians value of basically 2 pi over 5 in this case. And then we stuff our color array. So we take every value from 0 to 9 and every value from 0 to 2, and we set our colors for each slice as a red, green, and blue value, which is a random color between 0 and 1. That's basically what we're doing here. And that sets each J to a random color. And it does it 9 times for 3 color values, red, green, and blue, for each possible slice. The number of slices could be 9. Here we've set it to 5. But we go ahead and fill the color array up to 9. Then we set up our label, and we use a CG-rect here called prompt frame, and we set our values for that frame. And then we allocate a label, and we initialize it with that frame. We set the text alignment here to center. We set the background color to clear color, and then we set the text to generating new tune. And we add this as a subview of self. Self, remember, in this case, is a UI view. So we add this as a subview of this view. And then, of course, after doing all of this, we return self, which Init with frame expects to return some object, a pointer to an object, which is what ID is. So we return self. Rads from degrees we've already talked about. And then in drawRect, first we calculate our midpoint, which is simple to do. We take our width of our bounds divided by 2 and the height of the bounds divided by 2. We get a graphics context to draw on. UI graphics get current context, does that for us, and that is a CG context ref. And we've seen this several times when we talked about core graphics or Quartz 2D. Pardon. And then for each slice, we set the fill color equal to the color value that we had for that slice. So the red, green, and blue, the J values in our array before, we set into the red, green, and blue, and then we set the alpha value to 1. Then we check and see if this particular slice is the white slice. And we'll only set the white slice in the view controller. So that will be a discussion for next time. But if this particular slice is the white slice, then we set the fill color to white. So we're overriding our existing fill color, and we're setting it all to red equals 1, green equals 1, blue equals 1, alpha equals 1, and this will, of course, give us white. We move to the midpoint, and then we add a line to the point found by taking the midpoint plus the cosine, the midpoint's x-coordinate, I should say, plus the cosine of the slice angle times the particular slice we're in times the radius. And then we do the same thing using the sine of the y-coordinate, and this will give us the endpoint of before we start drawing our arc. Then, of course, we add an arc, and this is from the midpoint, x and y, using the radius, which is in this case 300, with the slice angle times I, this time through the particular slicing up the pie, or slicing up the circle, and then ending at the last slice angle. So in other words, slice angle of I minus 1, and we do this in a clockwise direction. Then we add a line back to the midpoint, and we go ahead and fill that path with the current fill color. If it's a white slice, that fill color will be white. If it's not the white slice, it will be the fill color defined in the colors array. And that is essentially how the view controller, or I'm sorry, the UI view that the view controller will initialize. That's how this view works. Thank you very much.